You know, there's this huge economic shift happening right now, and people are calling it the Mexican moment. It's all built around one simple idea: nearshoring. Now, this is a massive opportunity for Mexico, but as we're about to see, it's also a really high stakes gamble. So let's start right on a factory floor in Monterrey, Mexico. This quote from a plastic CEO, it just nails it. He's making kitchen containers, the kind of stuff you probably have in your own kitchen that just a few years back were pretty much all made in China. This right here is nearshoring in action. So, what exactly is nearshoring? Well, it's pretty simple. It's when companies move their factories and their operations from a country that's far away, like China, to one that's a whole lot closer to home, like Mexico. And that closeness, that proximity is everything. It's what's fueling this potential economic revolution. Okay, so to really get the scale of this Mexican moment, we've got to look back a little. Because this isn't some brand new trend. What we're seeing is the complete reversal of a pattern that's dominated the global economy for decades. That's right. After the North American Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA, was signed way back in 1994, a lot of people thought Mexico was just going to boom. But instead, for the next 30 years, a ton of manufacturing business actually flowed out of Mexico and went straight to China. And now, just in the last 4 years or so, that entire river has changed course. It's all coming back. But here's where it gets really interesting. It's not just American or European companies that are moving in. Chinese companies themselves are setting up their own factories in Mexico. And this creates this totally new kind of competition, where Mexican companies now have to compete with Chinese firms right in their own backyard. So the opportunity is absolutely massive. But this whole boom is, well, it's pretty fragile. It's facing some serious growing pains and a lot of risks that could really threaten the whole thing. The big question is, can this incredible momentum actually last? So let's just ask the question directly. What could actually stop the Mexican moment? Because for all the excitement, a lot of investors are starting to get, well, they're getting nervous. And the answer really comes down to a mix of problems at home and pressures from the outside. According to the Council on Foreign Relations, investors are looking at three big red flags. First, there's this major judicial reform on the table that would make judges elected. The fear is they could be way too easily influenced by political or even criminal pressure. Then there's security getting worse. Homicide rates are near all-time highs, and extortion is a growing problem. And when you put those two together, you get this deep sense of uncertainty that's already causing investment, both from other countries and from within Mexico, to just freeze up. And on top of those internal risks, there is a huge one looming from the outside. The USMCA. That's the big trade deal that replaced NAFTA. The very foundation of this entire nearshoring boom is about to face a really high-stakes review. And the biggest question mark hanging over it all is China. This timeline really puts it all in perspective. NAFTA kicked things off in '94, and then the updated USMCA took over in 2020. But the date that has everyone on edge is 2026. That's when the whole deal is up for review, and let's just say the negotiations are expected to be tense. And this slide lays out the central conflict perfectly. On one side, you have Mexico's economic minister basically saying, hey, tariffs don't solve anything. They just make things more expensive for American shoppers. But on the other side, the US is going ahead and putting new tariffs on things like steel and aluminum to protect its own industries. This basic disagreement is exactly what's making that 2026 review so nerve-wracking for everyone. To really, really get what's on the line here, we need to look at just one industry: the North American auto industry. It is the perfect example of just how deeply connected the economies of the US, Mexico, and Canada have become. Okay, take a look at this number, 6 to 8. What on earth could that possibly mean when we're talking about building a car? Well, get this. That's the number of times a single car part might cross the borders between the US, Canada, and Mexico before it ends up in the finished car you see in the showroom. It's this mind-boggling dance of logistics, and it just goes to show you how much of a single integrated machine this continental supply chain really is. So you can see why, when you start throwing tariffs into a system this complex, it's not just a simple tax, it's like a wrench in a finely tuned engine. The US imposes tariffs, that disrupts the flow. Then Canada hits back with its own tariffs, and pretty soon the part suppliers who work in all three countries are just caught in the crossfire. The amazing efficiency of the entire system is suddenly at risk. So, with all these challenges, what's the solution? Well, one big idea that's being talked about by auto industry leaders is a pretty bold strategy you could call Fortress North America. So here's the game plan in a nutshell. Step one, you create a totally free market inside the fortress by getting rid of all tariffs between the three countries. Step two, you make the rules tougher, so more of a car has to be made inside North America. Step three, you jack up the penalties for anyone who breaks those rules. And finally, steps four and five, you use tariffs on the outside as a wall to force foreign companies to build their factories here, while you actively work to keep Chinese parts and investment out of the supply chain. And what's the end goal of this whole fortress strategy? Well, the idea is to create this super efficient, completely tariff-free market inside North America. And the argument is that this would make the entire industry more competitive, and here's the key part, it would lead to cheaper cars for all of us. We'll end with this really powerful thought from Mexico's economy minister. When he was asked how much Mexico could actually achieve with this deeper integration, his answer was so bold, so optimistic, it just perfectly captures the incredible potential of this moment. The real question is, can Mexico and its North American partners actually navigate all these risks to make that vision a reality?